The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumble that made the human delegation feel very small. Ambassador Li Jinwu walked forward with steady steps, his black diplomatic uniform crisp and clean. Behind him, Park Minji carried a small device that would translate everything the aliens said. They had practiced this moment many times, but nothing could have prepared them for what they saw. The chamber was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. 12 different alien species sat in a circle around them. Some looked like walking crystals that sparkled with their own light. Others were like floating clouds of gas that changed colors when they spoke. The strangest ones looked like giant trees with faces carved into their bark. Li Jinwu had been chosen as Earth's ambassador because he stayed calm under pressure. Even now, surrounded by beings that could destroy his planet with a thought, his hands did not shake. Park Minji stood beside him, her fingers dancing over the translator device as alien voices filled the air. The leader of the council was a tall crystal being called Counselor Thexnara. When she spoke, her voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The translator in Park Minji's hand turned her words into Korean, then into English for the record. "Humans of Earth," Thexnara said, "today is a great day for your species. The Galactic Council has watched your world for many years. We have seen your wars, your struggles, your slow progress toward the stars. We are here to end your suffering, Li." Jinwu listened carefully as the translator worked. Other council members began to speak, each adding to the offer. The gas cloud aliens called the Noxians promised clean energy that would power Earth for 1,000,000 years. The tree-like Igdrim offered knowledge that would cure every disease known to humans. A robotic voice came from a metal being in the corner. "We offer faster-than-light travel technology. Your people will reach other stars in days, not centuries." But the biggest surprise came from Thexnara herself. "Most important of all, we offer you immediate membership in the Galactic Council. You will skip ahead past other young species. You will become a Tier 3 civilization today." Park Minji's eyes went wide as she translated. A Tier 3 civilization was something Earth scientists had only dreamed about. It meant having technology. That seemed like magic. It meant never worrying about food, energy, or disease again. It meant having a place among the greatest powers in the galaxy. "All we ask," Thexnara continued, "is that you accept our guidance. Your planet will be governed by Council rules. Your technology will follow Council standards. Your military will serve under Council command. This is how all civilizations advance safely." The chamber fell quiet. All 24 alien eyes turned to Li Jinwu. Some species had more than 2 eyes, which made the feeling even stronger. They expected him to fall to his knees and thank them. They expected tears of joy. They expected him to immediately contact Earth and tell them the good news. Instead, Li Jinwu stood quietly for a long moment. He thought about his home planet, with its blue skies and white clouds. He thought about the children playing in Seoul's parks. He thought about the scientists working late into the night, trying to solve problems with their own minds and hands. Finally, he spoke. His voice was calm and clear. "Honored members of the Galactic Council, humanity is grateful for this generous offer. We understand the great honor you have given us." The aliens leaned forward, waiting for his acceptance. "However," Li Jinwu continued, "we must respectfully decline." The silence that followed was so complete that Park Minji could hear her own heartbeat. Her translator device showed no activity because no one was speaking. The aliens just stared. Thexnara was the first to recover. Her crystal form flickered like a broken light bulb. "I am sorry, Ambassador Li Jinwu. There must be an error in translation. Please repeat what you just said." Park Minji checked her device twice before speaking. "The translation was correct, Counselor Thexnara. The ambassador said that humanity declines your offer." A sound like angry wind came from the Noxian section. One of the gas cloud beings swirled faster and darker. "This is impossible. No species refuses advancement. No species chooses hardship over comfort." The tree-like Igdrim elder called Root Whisper Kevthol spoke in a voice like creaking wood. "Perhaps they do not understand what they are refusing. Ambassador, do you realize you are choosing to keep your diseases, your short lifespans, your primitive technology?" Li Jinwu nodded. We understand completely, honored elder. We know what we are giving up. Then why? The question came from several aliens at once. Li Jinwu had prepared for this question during the long journey to the council station. Because we believe that how you grow is as important as how far you grow. We want to discover things for ourselves. We want to make our own mistakes and learn from them. We want to earn our place among the stars. A metal alien with glowing red eyes spoke up. But you could have all the knowledge instantly. Why choose ignorance? We do not choose ignorance, Park Minji said, surprising herself by speaking without permission. We choose the right to learn. There is a difference. Thexnara's crystal form was now flickering rapidly. This makes no sense. You would rather struggle than succeed? You would rather suffer than live in comfort? Li Jinwu thought about his grandmother, who had lived through the Korean War. She had told him stories about people who survived because they were strong, not because life was easy. She had said that strength only comes from facing challenges. Counselor Thexnara, he said, what happens to a muscle that is never used? It becomes weak, she answered automatically. What happens to a mind that never solves problems? It becomes slow. What happens to a species that never faces challenges? Thexnara did not answer, but her flickering slowed. Li Jinwu continued. We are grateful for your offer. We hope to trade with you and learn from you. But we want to do it as equals who earned their place, not as children who were given everything. The chamber buzzed with alien conversations. Some sounded angry. Others sounded confused. A few sounded almost impressed. Finally, the robotic alien spoke again. This has never happened before in council history. We need time to consider what this means. Li Jinwu bowed politely. We understand. We will return to Earth and await your decision about future relations. As the human delegation left the chamber, Park Minji whispered to her ambassador. Do you think we just made the biggest mistake in human history? Li Jinwu smiled. Maybe. Or maybe we just made the smartest choice our species has ever made. Behind them, the Galactic Council continued their heated discussions late into the station's night cycle. None of them could understand what they had just witnessed. But all of them knew that something important had just changed in their galaxy. 3 days after the humans left the council station, emergency meetings were happening all across the galaxy. Dr. Kim Tae-hyung sat in his office at Seoul National University, trying to answer the 5th urgent call of the day. This time it was from the Velkari Science Institute. Dr. Kim, the crystal being's voice came through the translator. We need to understand what happened. Are your people sick? Did some virus damage their thinking? Kim Tae-hyung rubbed his tired eyes. He had been explaining the same thing over and over since the news spread. No, we are not sick. We are thinking clearly. We simply chose a different path. But that makes no sense, the Velkari scientist replied. Every species wants to advance quickly. Every species wants comfort and safety. This is basic nature. Before Kim Tae-hyung could answer, another call came in, then another. His secretary, a young woman named Lee Soo-jin, poked her head into his office. Doctor, there are 17 more aliens waiting to speak with you. They all sound very confused. Meanwhile, at the Galactic Council Station, Counselor Thexnara was having her own problems. She had called an emergency meeting with the other council members. The huge chamber was buzzing with worried voices. This changes everything, said Breathseer Zulmoth, a Noxian whose gas cloud body was swirling with dark colors. If one species can refuse our guidance, others might do the same. The ancient Yggdrasil elder, Root Whisper Kevthol, creaked his wooden limbs as he spoke. In 3,000 years of council history, this has never happened. Not once. Every species has begged for what we offered the humans. A metallic voice came from the corner where Magtheron of the hegemony sat. His robot body was perfectly still, but his red eyes glowed brighter when he was thinking hard. Perhaps we should simply ignore them. Let them struggle alone. They will come back begging when their planet faces its first real crisis. But Thexnara was not so sure. She had been studying human behavior for weeks now, trying to understand their decision. The more she learned, the more puzzled she became. Back on Earth, Choi Soo-young was working late in her office at the Diplomatic Corps building, in Seoul. As the director, she was responsible for explaining humanity's choice to confused alien governments. Her desk was covered with reports from human embassies across known space. Her assistant, a smart young man named Park Jun-ho, brought her another stack of messages. Director Choi, the Galaxian Empire wants to know if humans have a mental illness that makes them refuse good things. The Trilarian Federation is asking if we need medical help. Choi Soo-young laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Do any of them understand our reasons at all? Park Jun-ho shook his head. Most of them seem to think we are either crazy or lying. A few think we are hiding some secret plan. At that moment, her communication device buzzed. It was Captain Yu, Ji-hoon calling from the Earth Defense Force headquarters. His voice sounded tired but amused. Director Choi, you need to see the latest intelligence report. 3 different alien species have sent spy ships to watch our planet. They think we must be hiding some super weapon or secret technology that makes us confident enough to refuse the Council's offer. Choi Soo-young put her head in her hands. This is getting out of control. We need to do something before they decide we are a threat. The next day, something unexpected happened. A small Velkari trade ship approached Earth's orbit. Unlike the official Council vessels, this one came alone and asked permission to land. The pilot was a young crystal being named Sharith, who worked as a cultural researcher. Ambassador Lee Jin-woo met with Sharith in a small conference room in Seoul. The alien's crystal body sparkled with curiosity instead of confusion. Ambassador Lee, Sharith said through her translator, I did not come here officially. The Council would be angry if they knew. But I had to understand for myself. Lee Jin-woo poured tea for both of them, even though he was not sure if crystal beings could drink. What do you want to understand? Your art, Sharith replied. I have been studying human music, paintings, stories. They are different from anything in the galaxy. Lee Jin-woo was surprised. How are they different? Sharith's crystal form grew brighter. They are full of struggle, pain, difficulty, but also beauty from that struggle. In our art, we only show perfection, peace, harmony. Your art shows how beautiful imperfection can be. For the first time since the Council meeting, Lee Jin-woo felt truly understood. Yes, we believe that easy things are not as valuable as things you work for. Like muscles that grow strong from lifting heavy things, Sharith asked. Exactly like that. While this conversation was happening on Earth, more changes were occurring across the galaxy. Dr. Kim Tae-hyung received a very different kind of call. This time it was from a Noxian philosopher named Drifts with Questions. Dr. Kim, the gas being's voice was soft and thoughtful. I have been studying your human concept called individual choice. This is very rare in the galaxy. Most species think as groups, follow leaders, obey rules. But humans seem to value the right to choose differently. Kim Tae-hyung nodded. Yes, we call it free will. We believe each person should be able to decide their own path. Even if that path is harder, Drifts with Questions asked. Especially if that path is harder, Kim Tae-hyung replied. These individual contacts were happening in secret all across human space. Alien researchers, philosophers, and artists were coming to Earth, quietly, without Council permission. They wanted to understand this strange species that chose difficulty over comfort. Back at the Council station, Thexnara was beginning to notice these unauthorized visits. Her spy networks reported Velkari ships near Earth. Noxian philosophers were asking strange questions about human culture. Even some Yggdrim were showing unusual interest in human agricultural methods. They are disrupting our members, Magtharon warned during another emergency meeting. This human infection is spreading. Our people are starting to question council, wisdom. But Elder Kevthol had a different concern. What if the humans are right? What if we have been doing things wrong for thousands of years? The chamber fell silent. No one wanted to consider that possibility. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador Lee Jin-woo was reading reports that amazed him. Human universities were receiving applications from alien students. Human artists were getting requests for their work from across the galaxy. Human philosophers were being invited to speak at alien conferences. Captain Yu Ji-hoon called with even more surprising news. Ambassador, Our trade requests are increasing by 300% each week. They do not want our technology. They want our ideas. Park Minji, who had been quiet during most meetings since their return, finally spoke up. Maybe refusing the council's offer was not just good for us. Maybe it was good for everyone. Lee Jinwoo looked out his window at the Seoul skyline, where construction crews were building new embassies for alien visitors. I think we may have started something much bigger than we planned. But not everyone in the galaxy was happy about these changes. In the dark corners of space, powerful beings were watching humanity with growing anger. They had spent centuries building a system where they controlled everything. Now these strange humans were threatening that control without even trying. The real test was yet to come. 6 months had passed since humanity rejected the Galactic Council's offer. Professor Oh Sung-min was working late in his laboratory at Seoul National University, completely unaware that his research was about to shock the entire galaxy. He had been studying quantum mechanics for 15 years, trying to solve problems that Earth's greatest minds had struggled with for decades. Tonight, something clicked. The equations he had been wrestling with suddenly made sense in a completely new way. "That's impossible," he whispered to himself, checking his calculations for the 10th time. But the math was correct. He had discovered a way to bend space-time using much less energy than anyone thought possible. At the same time, in a factory outside Busan, engineer Bae Hyejin was putting the finishing touches on her latest project. She had been working on a new type of rocket, engine that used principles no one had tried before. Instead of brute force, her design used clever engineering to achieve the same results with half the fuel. Neither of them knew that alien observers were watching their work with growing amazement. The Velkari Science Council had been monitoring Earth's scientific progress since the humans left their station. What they saw made no sense to them. Instead of slowing down after refusing advanced technology, human innovation was actually speeding up. Christark Velshan, the head of Velkari Research, called an emergency meeting with his top scientists. "Look at these reports," he said, his crystal body flickering with confusion. "The humans have made 17 major breakthroughs in the past 6 months. 17! Most species make one breakthrough per year after joining the council." His assistant, a younger crystal being named Luxara, reviewed the data carefully. "Perhaps refusing our help forced them to work harder, like muscles that grow stronger when they lift heavy weights?" Velshan was quiet for a long moment. This idea was troubling because it suggested the council's method might actually slow down progress instead of helping it. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador Kang Woo-jin was having the busiest time of his career. His office in the Trade Relations Building was packed with requests from alien species who wanted to do business directly with humanity, bypassing the Galactic Council entirely. "Sir," his secretary Kim Yoon-ji said, as she brought him another stack of requests, "we have 43 new trade applications today. The Calaxians want to buy human music. The Trilarians are interested in human cooking methods. Even the hegemony wants to purchase human military strategy books." Kang Woo-jin shook his head in amazement. 6 months ago, none of these species would talk to us without council permission. Now they are lining up to trade with us. The most surprising request came from the Noxian Collective. They wanted to send a delegation to study human philosophy about individual rights. This was shocking because the Noxians had always been a hive mind species where everyone thought the same thoughts. Dr. Kim Tae-hyung was chosen to meet with the Noxian delegation when they arrived on Earth. The lead philosopher, a gas cloud being called Questions the Wind, spoke in a voice like a gentle breeze. "Dr. Kim, we have studied your concept of individual choice for many months. In our species, we all share the same mind. But watching humans has made us wonder if this limits our growth." Kim Tae-hyung was fascinated. "How so?" "When everyone thinks the same thoughts, no one thinks new thoughts," Questions the Wind replied. "But humans argue with each other, disagree, try different solutions. This creates new ideas that no one had before." Kim Tae-hyung nodded. "We call it diversity of thought. We believe different opinions make us stronger, not weaker. Even when those opinions cause conflict? Especially then," Kim Tae-hyung said with a smile. "Our best discoveries often come from people who disagreed with everyone else." This conversation was being secretly recorded by Noxian leaders who were beginning to question their own methods of thinking. But not everyone was happy with these changes. At the Galactic Council Station, Counselor Magtheron was growing more angry each day. His metal fingers tapped against his desk as he read report after report of council members trading with humans without permission. "This chaos must stop," he announced to the emergency council meeting. "The humans are destroying our carefully maintained order. Our members are questioning our authority. Some are even suggesting we change our own methods." Thexnara, who had been unusually quiet lately, finally spoke. "Perhaps we should consider that possibility, Counselor Magtheron." The chamber fell silent. Everyone stared at the lead counselor. "What did you say?" Magtheron's voice was dangerously low. "I said, perhaps we should consider changing our methods," Thexnara repeated, her crystal form glowing brighter. "The humans have achieved more progress in 6 months than most of our members achieve in 10 years. Maybe forced advancement is not the best way." Magtheron's red eyes blazed with anger. "You are talking about destroying everything we have built. Our system has maintained peace for 3,000 years. Has it maintained peace, or has it maintained control?" The question came from Elder Kevthol, whose wooden form creaked as he leaned forward. "I have been thinking about this for months. When did we last have a truly new idea in the council? When did we last solve a problem in a way no one had tried before?" The other council members looked uncomfortable. The truth was that the galaxy had been very stable for centuries, but it had also been very boring. The same solutions were used for the same problems. The same technologies were shared, in the same ways. Nothing really new had happened in a very long time. Back on Earth, Captain Yu Jihoon was dealing with a different kind of problem. His intelligence reports showed that human space was becoming very crowded with alien visitors. Some came openly, to trade or study. Others came secretly to spy or observe. "We are becoming the most watched planet in the galaxy," he reported to the Defense Ministry. "Every major species has ships near our system. Most are peaceful, but some are clearly gathering intelligence." Defense Minister Shin Yohan reviewed the reports carefully. "Are any of them threats?" "Hard to say," Captain Yu replied. "But the hegemony ships are armed, and they keep asking detailed questions about our military capabilities. This was becoming a concern because the hegemony was known for conquering species that they saw as threats to galactic stability. If they decided humanity was dangerous, they might act first and ask questions later. But humanity was also receiving unexpected support. The Velkari had quietly upgraded Earth's defensive sensors as a scientific gift. The Noxians had shared their stealth technology to help human ships avoid detection. Even some of the tree-like Yggdrim had offered to help hide human colonies using their advanced camouflage abilities. Professor Oh Seung-min made another breakthrough that changed everything. His new quantum theory led to the development of a communication system that could send messages instantly across any distance. When he tested it successfully, alien observers were stunned. Engineer Bei Hee-jin used these quantum principles to create a new type of shield generator that was smaller and more efficient than anything the Council had ever seen. Other human scientists began building on these discoveries, creating innovations that impressed even the most advanced alien civilizations. Ambassador Li Jinwu found himself in an impossible position. Officially, humanity still had no formal relationship with the Galactic Council, but unofficially they were becoming more influential than many council members. Individual species were treating Earth as an equal partner, not as a primitive civilization that needed guidance. The situation reached a turning point when news arrived that would test everything humanity had built. Ancient enemies were stirring in the dark corners of the galaxy. The Council's greatest fear was about to become reality, and they would need every possible ally to survive. But first, they would have to swallow their pride and ask the humans for help. The emergency alarm at Galactic Council headquarters had never sounded so urgent. Counselor Thexnara rushed to the command center, her crystal form flickering with fear. The massive screens showed images that made her feel cold despite having no blood to chill. Dark metal shapes were moving through space at the edge of known galaxy. They were huge, bigger than moons, and they were destroying everything in their path. Entire star systems were going dark as the ancient enemy approached. "The Devourers have returned," whispered Elder Kevthol, his wooden limbs trembling. "After 5,000 years of sleep, they are awake again." Admiral Nam Hyunwoo was in his office on Earth when the call came through. the Korean military officer, had been expecting something like this ever since the alien visitors started acting nervous. Captain Yoo Ji-hoon burst into his office without knocking. "Sir, we just received an emergency message from the Galactic Council. They are requesting immediate military assistance from all available species." Nam Hyun-woo read the message quickly. The Devourers were ancient machines built by a long-dead civilization. They consumed entire planets to fuel their systems. The last time they appeared, it took the combined might of 100 species to stop them, and even then barely succeeded. "They want our help?" Nam Hyun-woo asked in surprise. "6 months ago, they would not even talk to us as equals. Apparently, when you are facing the end of the galaxy, you cannot afford to be picky about your allies," Captain Yu replied. The first Council fleet to engage the Devourers was destroyed in minutes. The ancient machines adapted to every weapon used against them. Energy blasts were absorbed and redirected. Physical projectiles were simply ignored. Even the most advanced Council technology proved useless. Panic spread through the galaxy as more fleets were destroyed. The Devourers were not just powerful, they were intelligent. They learned from each battle and became stronger. That was when Admiral Nam Hyun-woo made a decision that shocked everyone. He contacted the Galactic Council directly and offered Earth's small fleet for the most dangerous missions. "Admiral," Counselor Magtheron's voice was desperate, "your ships are primitive compared to ours. What can you possibly do that we cannot?" "Sometimes. Primitive methods work because they are unexpected," Nam Hyun-woo replied calmly. "Let us try." Captain An Ja-yeon was chosen to lead the first human attack against the Devourers. Her ship was tiny compared to the massive enemy machines, but she had an idea that no one else had considered. Instead of using advanced energy weapons like everyone else, she loaded her ship with old-fashioned nuclear missiles, the kind of weapons that Earth had used centuries ago in their early space age. "Captain, those weapons are ancient," her Velkari advisor Shardwing protested. "They cannot possibly damage machines that survive black holes." "Maybe not," An Ja-yeon said with a grin. "But the Devourers have never seen weapons like these before. They have been adapting to Council technology for weeks. Let us see how they handle something completely different." The attack was unlike anything in galactic military history. While Council fleets tried to fight the Devourers with honor and formation tactics, the human ships attacked like pirates. They hit and ran, used tricks and traps, and refused to fight fair. An Ja-yeon's nuclear missiles did something no one expected. They actually damaged a Devourer. Not much, but enough to prove that the ancient machines could be hurt by weapons they had not encountered before. The galaxy watched in amazement as Earth's tiny fleet began achieving victories that massive Council armadas could not manage. Commander Song Min-ho was given an even stranger assignment. The Council wanted him to coordinate attacks between different alien species, but their military leaders could not agree on anything. Each species wanted to use their own tactics and refused to follow orders from others. "This is impossible," complained General Thakmore of the hegemony during a strategy meeting. "My warriors do not take orders from tree people or gas clouds." Song Min-ho had dealt with difficult personalities before, but never on this scale. Then he remembered something from human military history. "General, what if nobody gives orders?" "To anybody?" he suggested. "What do you mean?" asked Captain Velshara of the Velkari. "What if each species does what they do best, and we coordinate the timing instead of trying to make everyone fight the same way?" It was a revolutionary idea. Instead of forcing everyone to use the same strategy, Song Min-ho created flexible battle plans where each species could use their natural advantages. The gas cloud Noxians became scouts. The crystal Velkari became communication relays. The tree-like Yggdrasil became mobile bases that could hide entire fleets. For the first time in the war, the Allied forces began winning major battles, but the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Specialist Han Yuna was an engineer. Not a soldier, but she had been studying captured Devourer technology for weeks. What she discovered changed everything. "Admiral," she reported to Nam Hyun-woo, "I know why our old weapons work when new ones do not." "Explain," the Admiral said. "The Devourers were built 5,000 years ago," Han Yuna said excitedly. "They were programmed to adapt to all known technology from that time period. But they were never programmed to handle technology that develops. differently. Nam Hyun-woo leaned forward. What do you mean? Council technology has followed the same development path for thousands of years. Energy weapons, force fields, faster-than-light drives. All very advanced, but all predictable. The Devourers know how to counter these because they have seen similar technology before. But human technology developed differently? Exactly. We were isolated, so we invented things in our own way. Nuclear weapons, chemical explosives, kinetic projectiles, electronic warfare. These are all primitive by Council standards, but they are also completely unknown to the Devourers. This discovery led to the development of entirely new battle tactics. Human engineers worked with alien scientists to create hybrid weapons that combined primitive human concepts with advanced alien technology. The results were devastating to the Devourers. Weapons that should not have worked according to galactic science proved incredibly effective because they were based on principles the ancient machines had never encountered. Captain An Ji-yeon led the final assault on the Devourer command ship. Her fleet was a mixture of human creativity and alien technology that should not have been possible. They used nuclear-powered force fields, kinetic energy weapons that fired at faster-than-light speeds, and electronic viruses that attacked the Devourer control systems. The battle was fierce, but for the first time since the war began, the Allied forces were winning. As the last Devourer ship was destroyed, Admiral Nam Hyun-woo received a communication from the Galactic Council. It was Counselor Thex Nara, and she sounded very different. From the proud leader who had first offered humanity advancement. Admiral Nam, she said quietly, the galaxy owes humanity a debt that can never be repaid. You saved us all. We all saved each other, Counselor, Nam Hyun-woo replied. That is what allies do. But as the celebration began across the galaxy, some beings were already thinking about what this victory meant. Humanity had not just helped win the war. They had shown that the galaxy's entire approach to technology and warfare might be wrong. The real changes were just beginning. The Great Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council had never seen anything like this before. Representatives from over 300 species filled the massive chamber, more than had ever gathered in one place. But today was different from any meeting in Council history. Supreme Counselor Veltharos, the ancient leader who had guided the galaxy for over 1,000 years, stood at the center podium. His energy form glowed with a light that seemed both sad and hopeful. Around him sat the surviving members of the old council, including Thex Nara, whose crystal body still bore scars from the war. Ambassador Lee Jin-woo walked into the chamber with quiet confidence. 6 months of war had changed him. His hair was now gray at the temples, and his eyes held the weight of someone who had seen too much death. But his back was straight and his steps were sure. Behind him walked the other human representatives who had become heroes during the war. Admiral Nam Hyun-woo wore his dress uniform with pride, medals from 12 different alien governments shining on his chest. Captain An Ji-yeon limped slightly from her injuries, but her smile was bright. Commander Song Min-ho carried a data pad, filled with new military theories that had revolutionized galactic warfare. The chamber fell silent as Veltharos began to speak. His voice carried the wisdom of centuries, but also the humility of someone who had learned a hard lesson. Representatives of the galaxy, he said, we gather today not to celebrate victory, though victory was achieved. We gather not to honor heroes, though heroes walk among us. We gather to admit a truth that is difficult for old minds like mine to accept. He paused, looking directly at the human delegation. We were wrong. A ripple of whispers ran through the assembly. Never in galactic history had the Supreme Counselor admitted error. For 3,000 years, Veltharos continued, we believed that advancement meant following the same path. We thought that wisdom meant accepting the guidance of those who came before. We were convinced that progress meant uniformity. Thex Nara stood from her seat. When she spoke, her voice carried none of its old authority, but something deeper and more honest. The humans showed us something we had forgotten, she said. They showed us that strength comes not from being given everything, but from earning it. That innovation comes not from following rules, but from breaking them when necessary. That true advancement, means choosing your own path, even when that path is harder. Elder Kevthol, his ancient wooden form creaking as he stood, added his voice to the discussion. I have lived for 4,000 years. I have seen species rise and fall, civilizations bloom and fade, but never have I seen a species grow stronger by refusing help. The humans taught me that sometimes the best way to help someone is to let them help themselves. Ambassador Li Jinwu was asked to respond. He stood slowly, thinking of his grandmother who had survived war by being strong, not by being comfortable. Honored Supreme Counselor, he said. Honored representatives, we did not refuse your help to prove we were better than you. We refused, because we knew we could become better than we were. He looked around the chamber at faces both alien and familiar. Every species here has something unique to offer the galaxy. But for thousands of years, you have been trying to make everyone the same. You have been turning diamonds into glass, thinking that glass was more perfect because it had no flaws. Young Noxian philosopher named Seek's New Thoughts swirled forward from her section. Ambassador Li, what do you propose we do differently? Li Jinwu smiled. We propose that instead of one species teaching all the others, every species teaches every other species. Instead of one way of thinking, we celebrate many ways of thinking. Instead of one path to advancement, we recognize that there are as many paths as there are stars. Director Park Minji, who had been quiet during most of the ceremony, stood to address the assembly. We call this the diversity principle, the idea that differences make us stronger, not weaker, that arguments and disagreements and different solutions create better results than everyone agreeing all the time. The proposal that followed was revolutionary. Instead of the Galactic Council with its rigid hierarchy and standard procedures, they would create the Galactic Assembly where every species had an equal voice. Instead of forced advancement programs, they would create voluntary exchange programs where species could share knowledge freely. Most importantly, they would create protection protocols for young civilizations, ensuring that each species had the right to develop at their own pace and in their own way. But the biggest change was philosophical. The galaxy would no longer assume that newer meant better, or that advanced meant superior. They would recognize that sometimes old ways were better than new ways, that sometimes simple solutions worked better than complex ones. Counselor Magtheron, who had opposed the humans from the beginning, stood to speak. His metal body was damaged from the war, but his voice was clear. I fought against these changes, he admitted. I believe that order was more important than freedom, that control was more important than choice. The war taught me that I was wrong. When the Devourers came, our ordered fleets were destroyed, but the chaotic, unpredictable human tactics succeeded. Chaos, it seems, has its own kind of strength. The vote to restructure the galactic government was not close. It was unanimous. For the first time in recorded history, every species in the galaxy agreed on something, but implementation would take time. Captain Yu Ji-hoon was chosen to head the new Galactic Defense Force, which would use the flexible tactics developed during the war. Dr. Kim Tae-hyung was appointed to lead the Cultural Exchange Institute, dedicated to preserving and sharing the unique traditions of every species. Engineer Bae Hyejin became the director of the Technology Diversity Project, which would encourage different approaches to scientific problems instead of standardizing everything. The ceremony ended with something that had never happened before in council history. Instead of formal speeches and official declarations, it ended with a party. Humans taught aliens how to dance. Aliens taught humans how to sing with harmonics that human ears had never heard. The gas cloud Noxians created light shows that painted, the chamber in colors that had no names. As the celebration continued into the station's night cycle, Ambassador Li Jinwu found himself standing on an observation deck with Supreme Counselor Veltharos. Through the transparent walls, they could see ships from hundreds of different species, all flying together in patterns that looked like organized chaos. Tell me honestly, Ambassador, Veltharos said, did you know this would happen when you refused our offer? Li Jinwu laughed. Honestly? We just wanted to be left alone to make our own mistakes and learn from them. We never imagined it would change the entire galaxy. And yet it did, Veltharos mused. Perhaps that is the most human thing of all. You changed everything by accident, simply by being yourselves. Years later, historians would mark this day. as the beginning of the golden age of galactic civilization, not because there were no more problems or conflicts, but because there were so many different ways of solving them. The humans had taught the galaxy their most important lesson, that the journey is more important than the destination, that earning something is more valuable than being given it, and that sometimes the best way to help someone is to let them find their own way. In the end, humanity's rejection of easy advancement had advanced everyone.